refuse to give up. Let me share the first hard truth you need to accept: you will never feel completely ready. That perfect moment you're waiting for, when your fears disappear, your doubts vanish, and confidence floods in, it simply won't arrive. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for that green light. They wait for the ideal timing, the perfect conditions, the right mood. And while they wait, opportunities slip away, years fade, and when they finally glance back, all they see is a trail of missed chances. If you take away just one thing from this message, let it be this: you must push yourself to act before you feel ready. When I launched SpaceX, I didn't have a flawless plan or absolute certainty. I was riddled with doubts, the kind that keep you awake at night, the kind that make you question if you're about to make the biggest mistake of your life. I faced problems I couldn't fully predict and had countless experts telling me it was doomed to fail. But if I had waited until I felt fully prepared, would still be waiting today. The truth is, conditions are never perfect. Those who wait for perfection are the ones still waiting years later. Most failures don't come from making the wrong move, they come from never moving at all, paralyzed by the illusion that more time will bring clarity. Here's what I've learned time and again: action breeds clarity. You don't think your way into success, you act your way into it. The fog lifts only when you start moving forward. You figure things out as you go, not by standing still and imagining every possible outcome. When I invested nearly everything I had into Tesla and SpaceX, it wasn't recklessness. It was understanding that extraordinary achievements demand extraordinary commitment. You can't tiptoe your way to breakthroughs. You have to leap, even if your knees tremble, even if the landing is uncertain, even if the challenge ahead feels overwhelming. Think about this: every world-changing innovation began as a simple idea. But ideas alone are worthless without execution. The iPhone wasn't revolutionary because Steve Jobs dreamed it up, it was revolutionary because his team built it. Electric cars didn't transform the industry because someone imagined them, they did because people rolled up their sleeves and made them real. You can read books, watch tutorials, plan endlessly, and study your craft for years. But nothing replaces the moment you actually do the work. There's a trap many fall into: the trap of endless preparation without action. They call it research, planning, or getting ready, but in reality, it's fear disguised as productivity. They convince themselves they're being responsible, but deep down, they're avoiding the discomfort of doing. Your mind's job is to protect you from discomfort. It whispers, wait until you know more. Wait until you're sure. Wait until you feel confident. But here's the brutal truth: confidence comes from doing, not waiting. When we built the first Falcon rocket, everything was on the line. We had funding for only 3 launches. The first failed, the second failed, the third failed. Each time, the safe choice was to quit. But safety is the enemy of greatness. If we had stopped, SpaceX wouldn't exist today. On the fourth try, with everything at stake, we succeeded. That success wasn't born from perfect conditions, it was born from relentless action taken despite uncertainty. Action is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The first time you take a risk, it's terrifying. The 10th time, it feels natural. People who seem fearless aren't born that way, they've trained themselves to move forward despite fear. Here's the key: you must move even when you're scared. If you wait for fear to vanish, you'll be waiting forever. I meet so many people who say they want to start a business, launch a product, change careers, or improve their health. But when I ask what they've done in the last 30 days, the answer is often nothing. They think about it, talk about it, but don't act. That's the gap between dreams and reality, action. Understand this: the people you admire, the ones who built companies, wrote books, changed industries, they weren't given permission. They didn't wait for approval or the world to say, go. They forced themselves to act, often when every part of them wanted to hesitate. Every day, you face a choice: comfort or growth. Comfort is easy, safe, and whispers, stay here. But comfort is a slow death that drains your potential. Growth feels risky, demands courage, and forces you to face rejection, failure, and embarrassment. But growth is where your future lives. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, you must choose growth, again and again. Let me be clear: you are not tired, you are unchallenged. You are not stuck, you are resisting change. You are not unlucky, you are avoiding action. Every one of us has the power to act today. Maybe you can't take the final leap right now, but you can take the first step. Send that email. Make that call. Write the first page. Launch the prototype. Your first step doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to happen. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable, it comes and goes. Action doesn't need motivation, motivation grows from action. When you start moving, creating, and making progress, motivation follows. It's like pushing a car: the hardest part is getting it started, but once it's rolling, momentum takes over. When Tesla was launched, the auto industry laughed. They said electric cars would never work, that competing with century-old giants was impossible. But we didn't waste time debating. We built. Every year, every improvement, every breakthrough came because we kept moving forward, even when the odds were against us. You will face resistance, failure, and days when nothing seems to work. That's normal. You can't skip the hard parts. But those hard parts make you stronger. Every setback forces you to adapt. Every failure teaches you lessons success never could. Every obstacle you overcome builds your capacity for bigger challenges. Think about how many times you've done something you thought was impossible, only to realize afterward that you were capable all along. That's what happens when you act. Action reveals your strength, waiting hides it. If you want to change your life, here's the simplest formula: stop overthinking and start executing. Every day, ask yourself, what's one action I can take today that moves me closer to my goal? Then do it. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. If you do this every day for a year, your life will be transformed. There's no magic in thinking about success. The magic is in building it. The world doesn't remember those who had ideas, it remembers those who made them real. The only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is the actions you take in between. So here's my challenge: force yourself to take one bold action today. Send that message. Make that pitch. Start that project. Step into the gym. Launch that channel. Do something that scares you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. Because once you start, momentum will carry you forward. A year from now, you'll look back and realize this was the moment you stopped waiting for perfect conditions and began building the life you want. This is the line you cross. This is the day you choose action over excuses. The clock is ticking. Opportunities are slipping by. The future is coming, whether you're ready or not. Don't let it arrive while you're standing still. Move now. Take the step. Build the dream. Risk failure. Embrace uncertainty. Because in the end, the only true failure is never trying at all. Force yourself to act, and never, ever stop. The first truth you need to understand is this: you will never feel ready. That perfect moment you're waiting for, the day your fears vanish, your doubts dissolve, and confidence magically appears, it doesn't exist. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for that green light, for the right time. While they wait, opportunities pass, years disappear, and eventually they look back at a trail of things they could have done but never did. If you take nothing else from me today, take this: you must act before you feel ready. When I started SpaceX, I didn't have a flawless plan. I didn't have certainty. I had doubts, big ones. The kind of doubts that keep you awake at night wondering if you're about to destroy everything you've worked for. I had questions I couldn't yet answer and problems I knew were coming but couldn't fully see. And I had countless people, smart and respected people, telling me it would never work. But if I had waited for confidence, SpaceX would not exist. The conditions for starting are never perfect. The people who wait for perfection are the ones still waiting years later. Most people don't fail because they make a wrong move, they fail because they never move at all. Here's what I've learned: action creates clarity. You don't think your way into success, you act your way into it. The fog only clears once you start walking through it. You figure things out by moving forward, not by standing still imagining every possible scenario. When I invested nearly my entire fortune into Tesla and SpaceX, it wasn't recklessness, it was commitment. Extraordinary results demand extraordinary commitment. You can't tiptoe your way into breakthroughs. You must leap, even when your knees are shaking, even when the landing looks uncertain. Every world-changing innovation started as nothing more than an idea. But ideas are worthless without execution. The iPhone wasn't magic because it was imagined, it was magic because it was built. Electric cars didn't become revolutionary because they were discussed, they became revolutionary because people rolled up their sleeves and made them real. There's a trap that stops many people: preparation without execution. They call it research, planning, or getting ready, but it's often fear disguised as productivity. The mind whispers, wait until you know more. Wait until you're sure. Wait until you feel confident. But confidence doesn't come before action, it comes from action. When we built the first Falcon rocket, everything was on the line. We had enough resources for 3 launches. The first failed. The second failed. The third failed. Any reasonable person would have quit. But safety is the enemy of greatness. On the 4th attempt, when everything seemed lost, we succeeded. That moment didn't come from waiting for perfect conditions. It came from relentless action in the middle of uncertainty. Action is a muscle. The first time you use it, it feels terrifying. By the 10th time, it feels natural. People you think are fearless aren't born that way, they've simply trained themselves to move forward while afraid. You must do the same. If you wait for fear to disappear, you'll wait forever. I meet people all the time who say they want to start a business, launch a product, change their career, or take control of their health. But when I ask what steps they've taken in the last 30 days, the answer is usually nothing. They're thinking, talking, planning, but not doing. And that's the gap between dreams and reality, action. The people you admire, the ones who built companies, wrote books, changed industries, they weren't waiting for permission. They didn't wait for the world to tell them it was okay. They acted. Often in moments when everything inside them wanted to hesitate. Every day, you face a choice: comfort or growth. Comfort feels safe. Comfort whispers, stay here. Nothing bad will happen. But comfort is a slow death. Growth feels risky, uncomfortable, even painful, but growth is where your future is. Let me be direct, you're not tired, you're unchallenged. You're not stuck, you're resisting change. You're not unlucky, you're avoiding action. Every single one of us has the power to take a step today. Maybe not the final step, but the first one. Write the first page. Send the email. Make the call. Build the prototype. Walk into the gym. Your first step doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to happen. Stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes after action, not before. Once you start moving, once you start creating, once you start building momentum, motivation follows. Like pushing a car, the hardest part is the start, but once it's rolling, momentum carries it forward. When Tesla launched, the auto industry laughed. They said it was impossible to compete with century-old giants. But we didn't sit around debating, we started building. Step by step, improvement by improvement, we kept moving forward despite the odds. You will face resistance. You will face failure. You will face days when it feels like nothing is working. That's normal. You don't get to skip the struggle. But every setback strengthens you. Every failure teaches lessons that success never will. Every obstacle you push through builds your capacity for the next challenge. Action reveals your strength. Waiting hides it. So here's the simplest formula to change your life: stop overthinking and start executing. Every morning, ask yourself, what's one action I can take today that moves me closer to my goal? Then do it, today, not tomorrow, not next week. Do that every day for a year and your life will be unrecognizable. The world doesn't remember the people who only had ideas. It remembers the people who turned them into reality. The only difference between where you are now and where you want to be is the actions you take in between. So here's my challenge to you: take one bold step today. Send the message. Make the pitch. Launch the project. Do something that scares you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to know everything. You just need to start. Once you do, momentum will carry you further than you can imagine. A year from now, you'll look back and realize this was the moment you stopped waiting, stopped hesitating, and started building the life you truly wanted. The clock is ticking. Opportunities are passing. The future is coming, whether you're prepared or not. Don't let it arrive while you're still standing still. Move now. Take the step. Build the thing. Risk the failure. Embrace the uncertainty. Because in the end, the only true failure is never trying at all. Force yourself to take action, and never stop.